Hello and welcome back to Paige's Picks and Pans. Still no pans. I thought I might find something wrong with this one. Wizards. Now, this is Ralph Bakshi's first family film, what he considers a family film. I think there's a little bit more TNA in this than typically a family film would have, but who am I to judge? Ralph Bakshi, who I've just realized I've been mispronouncing his last name as Bashki for years, left a huge dent on animation in the 1970s. He worked on a lot of television shows. He worked on Rocket Robin Hood, Mighty Mouse, the Amazing Spider-Man cartoons. He did more than any other animator on the Spider-Man cartoons, more episodes. So he definitely left that mark on me. He's also very well known for his adult cartoons, specifically Fritz the Cat, lesser so Heavy Traffic, and there's a couple of other ones that went even deeper into what he calls urban themes, but let's just say not a place he should have been focusing. Anyway, so that brings us to Wizards. Bakshi decided he wanted to do something in the realm of fantasy to show that he could play along with the big players, but without making them cutesy. So he did Wizards, and then a couple of years later, he did Lord of the Rings. And I would bet that a lot of people who have seen this film saw it either because of Lord of the Rings, or maybe because of Fritz the Cat, but I'm guessing more because of Lord of the Rings. I always knew it was around. It came out in the theater like 3 weeks before Star Wars, so I wasn't very old when it came out, but I certainly was aware of its existence. And this is the first time I watched it. So it took me, 35 plus years? Something like that. I don't know. It's a ridiculous number. No, 40. Oh God, it's a long time. I'm old enough now that I should have seen this before. I think it was a very different experience to see it first time as an adult rather than first time as maybe a teenager or a young adult. Certainly in today's political arena, seeing that much Nazi imagery I was not prepared for. And even to the point of early on in the film, when you first see the evil wizard on a throne with a swastika beneath him, and there is most of a pig hanging, and his little henchman dragon starts tearing at the pig carcass and eating it. And at the end of that scene, the carcass spins and you see a Star of David. I was, like I say, I was not prepared for this. This is some very personal imagery for Bakshi. His family fled Europe to escape World War II. They are of Jewish descent. I watched this film twice because I watched it through as is, and then I watched it a second time with the director's commentary. And so he fills in a lot of the details about how much he worries about fascism and what he was trying to get to, because it's framed as, your basic good versus evil, but also magic versus science and technology. And that's a tough sell for me, because I like science and technology. I also like magic. I don't think the two of them have to be mutually exclusive, but that's just me. He draws the evil very evil. He draws the good very good. Um, there's fairies and goblins and automatons. Like it's a very obvious film. It is full of tropes, but there's also a heart to it. So I can't pan it. It's fascinating to see just because it was in the last part of the era when things were still being cell animated, like by hand instead of by computer. There's also a lot of rotoscope work in here, partially because the studio wouldn't give him any more money to finish. He was over budget, and they were out of patience with him. So 20th Century Fox wouldn't give him any money, so he put his hand in his own pocket and convinced IBM to make copies of, or make prints of this stock footage of like war, so that he could animate it by hand and rotoscope it. It's kind of it. I mean, I understand why he did it. It gives the film a very otherworldly feel, but this is something that he did again and again in his films. He brings in this background animation to evoke certain emotions, and he is very good at that. By the 90s, when he did Cool World, people were kind of tired of it. There was more interesting stuff happening out there. So I don't know where I would land with this as far as stars. It's really hard for me to give this a rating. As an artifact of animation, in the canon of animation that I think most people should see, like, you've got to include some Bakshi. Which one you choose is kind of up to you. The Lord of the Rings is, I mean, it's very compressed, and true fans of that book not gonna love that one. I mean, Fritz the Cat and Heavy Traffic have also aged pretty poorly, so probably if you're going to watch a Bakshi film as an example of his work, Wizards is as good as anything out there. I'm going to give it about a 3.5. It's a very hesitant pick, only because I think it's an important piece of animation history. I don't necessarily think it's a great film, although it was entertaining enough. And if you listen closely, you will hear a very young Mark Hamill in one of the roles. It's a short role, little role, but hey, he got paid. And I think that might make it his first voice work, and Mark Hamill has done an awful lot of voice work. Anyway, this is very long for something that I'm not giving a great rating, so I'm going to leave it there, and thank you for watching Pages, Picks, and Pans.